Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Spectre6 here. Today I'm just doing the video that I promised I would do for you all, and that is a complete overview of the setup of my Remington Defense ACR. I just have a bit of an overhead view of them right now. The reason I say them is because I have two lowers. Only the one rifle. This is my original ACR that I bought back when I was 18, so 10 years ago. And I'm also going to talk a little about the painstaking adventures I went through to get my ACR to where it is now. I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you comment, like, share, and subscribe. Let's go ahead and get into it. So I'm just going to start with this lower real quick. This is the one that I normally use, as you can see, because of the wear and tear on it. This is a factory Remington Defense lower. Has the standard folding stock, has the Magpul Mo pistol grip. This is my favorite pistol grip. I plan on getting another one of these and start coating it Coyote for the other lower. I just wanted to get this one out of the way because this is the lower that I mostly use. I'm just not currently using. Alright, time for the actual rifle. We're going to go tip to butt, and I will at the end discuss the time it took, the money it took to get all this nice fancy schmancy stuff for my ACR. So to start, this is the flash hider that the 16-inch barreled gun originally came with. It is an AAC standard flash hider. I typically do run a suppressor on my ACR. However, the one that I have is a traditional baffled can from Griffin Armament. And the blowback pressure on a 10.5-inch barrel is a little bit, I wouldn't say it's a bit much, it's just, it's less than ideal for me, so I'm currently waiting on getting a flow-through can that I have been waiting on for, almost a year now, so I'm hoping that I'll get that soon. This was before the E-forms for suppressors and Form 4s launched, so last I saw, the current wait time for paper Form 4s were 12 to 14 months, and I'm almost at the 12-month mark, so I'm hoping to get that soon. That way I can throw that on there. I'll go ahead and flip this over. Alright. So I got the Surefire Scout Mini Pro. With the adjustable mount. This is actually the M-lock mount that I screwed into the handguard with, just like its Remington Defense, style setup. So this screw is screwed directly into the handguard. This is actually just using the M-lock clamp to act as a like a buffer, like a middle piece, that way it doesn't go all slanted. But this is tight on there, and this is how I've had it set up. I do have the actual Remington Defense Picatinny rails. I have a lot of them actually. I just don't really like to use them, mainly just because I don't like the feel of Picatinny rails on my hands, and I'm also not particularly a fan of rail covers, and that is why I decided to do this. I didn't really think it was going to work at first, but once I tried it, and it has worked out since. Even after firing, it has not moved, so pretty impressed with that. Next, so this is the Bcm Gun Fighter, I believe. I did a small video about me actually attaching this to my ACR's handguard in a similar manner as M-lock. Originally I was using the screw plates that come with the Magpul Mo rails for their their Mo furniture. But what I actually ended up doing was I sanded down with a Dremel the I guess you could say the screw frame. That way it was nice and flat, and then so one screw is screwed directly into the handguard, and then the other one is still using one of those Mo rail plates, just to keep it, secure and stable. So I am running a PEC 15. This is not the full power version because even though it's legal for us to own those, we can't get them unless, you know, we're law enforcement or military, or if you know someone, which I unfortunately do not. I would like to have a full power one, but this runs very well under nods. I really don't have an issue. I have run full power PECs before and compared the two, and while there is a difference in terms of the laser intensity under nods, it's not a huge deal. It's still a bummer that we can't technically get these as civilians, even though we can legally own them. But then again, we'd be paying like $3,500, $4,000. I mean, even the civilian ones are like $1,700. I actually picked up mine from Optics Planet about a year ago for just over $15. They were running a sale, so I mean, a couple $100 off, had to go for it, you know. Next up, I'm running an EOTech XPS EXPS-2 or 3, I can't remember, but it's the night vision compatible one. As you can see, it has the night vision setting. This is actually my oldest optic. I bought this specifically for my ACR. So this optic is about 10 years old. Same goes with the magnifier. It's a G33 3 times. I bought this in conjunction with this. So yeah, they're both pretty old. The EOTech is more scratched and scarred from use, mainly because I don't always run the magnifier. Really just depends on what I'm in the mood for. Oftentimes I actually just run it with the EOTech, mainly just because of, you know, the weight. And this rifle is actually very light, even with this stuff on there, but sometimes the weight from the magnifier, it actually adds a pretty decent amount of weight to it, so that's why I don't always run it. This is the original Wyndham made upper from when I bought the rifle initially. And this rifle is actually one of the very early production Wyndham made ACRs. It is the 57th one that they made. Now about this Remington Defense lower. So this is interesting. This is not the Remington, well, it is a Remington Defense lower, but it is not the ones that were made for the DoD contract / military ACRs. It does not have party mode. It doesn't have the party mode setting. It doesn't have the cutout or anything like that. This is actually a one-of-a-kind Remington Defense lowers. I don't know if they made any more of these particular ones. These ones, I had a friend that worked for Remington Defense, and he told me that Remington, before they got into all their trouble financially and eventually ended up closing their doors, they had considered making these ACR lowers for the civilian market, semi-auto only. But from what I can tell, it never came to fruition, obviously. Remington no longer exists. Well, I mean, their ammo brand exists, and last I actually heard that Remington was starting to make Remington Model 870s again, but yeah, their whatever plans they may or may not have had for the ACR, it doesn't really matter at this point because they don't own the ACR anymore. That is now under the boot of Franklin Armory, who owns Bushmaster. Geisley trigger system has a really light trigger pull. The weapon is clear, so don't get all freaked out. The weapon is clear and it's on safe. Standard magazine eject. This bolt release, however, is a Templar Precision extended bolt release latch. It is a little scuffed up right there, mainly just because I had issues getting that pin in there. And so I kind of scuffed it up a bit, but that's not really a huge problem for me. And I do have a Remington Defense trigger guard on this lower like I do with the other one. Remington Defense cheek piece. This is the non-folding one. This is like a more lightweight option that they made for the ACR, just because it doesn't have the folding mechanism, so it's a little bit of a weight reduction. I installed the standard Bushmaster sling hook latch onto this stock because it didn't come with the ones that Remington made specifically for this stock piece, and this has worked out really well, and I'll tell you why I did this here in a second. And then of course the standard Magpul stock. Now my sling setup is interesting, or at least some people seem to think so. So I have it on a QD mount right there, and I'm right-handed, so this end actually pulls the stock piece into my body when I'm holding it. And I have a QD mount as well as a standard clip hook, and the reason I have that is because depending on what I'm doing, if I'm doing like some training exercises, or if I'm just, you know, shooting for fun, or whatever I'm doing, I like being able to have two different options for my sling placement. So I have it set up here as similar to like a single point system, you know, but obviously this is a T-Rex arms sling, by the way. It's fully adjustable for length of pull and blah blah blah. But if I want to go more like further out than where the hook is, I have the QD mount that I can, you know, put in the QD mount here, or the handguard. I generally don't like doing it on the handguard. No real particular reason, I just don't really like to do that. I'll typically put it in here, or I'll use one of the Remington Defense rail pieces I have that has the QD lock in there. So yeah, that's the reason I have my slings set up the way that I do, just so I have a little bit more, a few more options. Now Dana over at Templar Precision, I had heard that he had started to design and fabricate QD mounts for the ACR stock to replace this hook, or the loop for a hook sling. But the last I heard, he had a pretty decent log of back orders for his Templar Precision ACR lowers, and so the production for these were halted. I don't know if that's changed since. I think it's been about 2 months since I heard that, maybe longer, I'm not sure. But I'm hoping he starts making those real soon, because whenever I don't have the sling hooked here and I have like the QD mount, you know, up here, this does tend to dig into my body a little bit if I'm not wearing body armor, and that can get quite uncomfortable. Safety selector. This is not an ACR selector, and it is not a Remington one. I don't remember the brand of this. I'd have to look it up because I do not freaking remember. But the safety core for the levers was custom made for this lower, because this lower was not complete. Everything had to either be fabricated specifically for it or transferred over from a Bushmaster ACR. But the Bushmaster safety cores, regardless if it was the first generation polymer ones or the later generation metal cores, did not fit with this lower. So the core is specifically made for this lower and only works for this lower, and unfortunately it was only made to be compatible with these levers. Now I am not a huge fan of 45-degree levers, mainly just because my thumb tends to go everywhere when I'm shooting, and so that kind of digs in. I could always shave this down or get the opposite version of the one on the other side, which is the more stubby, shorter version. But that's just more money, and I really don't want to do that, so I might just end up shaving that down. Can't remember what brand. It's a Hogue Grips rubberized pistol grip. I initially had the standard A2 AR-15 pistol grip in Coyote on this, but the A2 pistol grip, in my opinion, sucks ass. It's not the most comfortable, and I had this lying around, so I went ahead and threw this on there, and this is much more comfy. I do want to get another one of those Mo V2 grips like I have on my other lower, but this works for me for right now. The only thing I really can ding real quick about the Remington Defense stock piece, it does not have a compartment to store batteries. I mean, you would think that it would. You can see like right there, there's like that little hole, but no, that was actually because Remington was looking to reduce the weight of the weapon overall. There's nothing that can like cap off that little chamber there to store any batteries. That's the only downside, because on my folding stock, that's where I store the extra batteries for my EOTech, for my PEC, and then I also have some spare batteries and the Mo pistol grip on my lower, but those batteries are actually for my Ops Core amp headsets, which runs on AAA batteries. So that's basically it, guys. That's basically the rundown of the setup for my ACR. This took me since I was 18 until I was about 26 to build. So it took about 8 years of trying to find the parts. Luckily, I was able to make a friend with a guy that worked directly for Remington before they closed shop, and he helped me out. Dana over at Templar also helped me out a little bit. And I spent a lot of money, guys. If I had to give it my best guess, this rifle is worth 10 to 12 grand, mainly just because of all the stuff that I have bought for it. In its current setup, this is probably about, based off of what I spent for this stuff, just for the Remington parts alone. Okay, so for what I spent for the handguard, the lower, the stock piece, on top of what I paid for the rifle, I paid $1,500 for the rifle when I first bought it. This gun is worth 5 grand in its current configuration, just with the Remington Defense parts. With all the accessories included, this is easily a $7,000 gun. Easily. Some people might think it's ridiculous I spent that kind of money. I actually spent much more because I have another lower, like I said, and this is actually not the first Remington Defense handguard that I've had on this rifle. I've had 2 others. Both were black, and so when you count all that in, I've spent about 10 to 12 grand for my ACR altogether, plus the tax stamp to turn it into a legal SBR. This is a legal SBR. It was my first SBR, and it will always be my favorite. This is always going to be my favorite gun. That's never going to change. And with Franklin Armory and Bushmaster claiming that they plan on bringing it back, and you can even find the ACR on Bushmaster's website with the subtitle "Soon to be Perfected." I really hope that they do actually bring it back. About a year ago, I had made a comment over on Bushmaster's Instagram wondering what the deal was, and they responded to me. I think I've talked about this before in one of my previous ACR videos, that they still planned on bringing it back, but they needed the tooling, they needed new molds, all that good stuff. And I've heard some scuttlebutt about them actually trying to make improvements on the platform, because when this platform was being designed by Magpul originally, it was still in the prototype stages when they gave it over to Bushmaster, and Bushmaster kind of just made a couple of tweaks, not really much, and pushed it out the door. They didn't actually really try to really finish the development of it, and I'm thinking that's what they're doing this time around. They're trying to right the wrongs that they might have made with this platform, or I really should say it was Freedom Group that made the wrongs, because Freedom Group's ACRs that were coming out of Huntsville, when the defense group took over, I mean, the quality control was pretty much non-existent. The Wyndham made guns and the Alien guns, as far as I know, were the best ones, but they stopped being made in Wyndham when the Freedom Group took over. Last I saw and heard and was told from Bushmaster themselves and others, they plan on bringing it back. They're working on, the fabrication process and Like I said, the rumors that they're actually going to try to make some improvements, which would be nice. I'm hoping the conversion kits come back, because I would really like to get a 300 blackout set up for this gun, maybe even a 6.8. I could not afford those when they did hit the market, because when they did hit the market, they weren't on the market very long, and by the time I could actually afford one, they had skyrocketed in price to almost double what they were actually worth, which is a bit of a bummer. So I really hope they bring them back, and bring them back soon, because you know I will buy them. In fact, I'd probably buy as much as I could if they were to release them again. I love the ACR so much. It will always be my favorite platform, and I'm the kind of guy that's not like your traditional AR or AK kind of guy. So I like the more exotic, more modern designs, and this, in my opinion, the ACR, for what it is, was way ahead of its time. It was completely new. The biggest mistake that Bushmaster made with these, in my personal opinion, when they first came out, obviously taking very long to actually release the conversion kits and different barrel systems, but when Magpul was designing this gun, it was only supposed to be like a $1,500 or $1,600 gun, but when it hit the market under Bushmaster, it was like $2,100, $2,200. So I'm hoping when they do bring these back, they will actually bring down the price. Because I do think this weapon system is highly underrated, and it just didn't get the love and attention that it truly deserved, and that's a real bummer, because this system's awesome. So yeah, guys, that's going to do it for the rundown of my ACR. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Still waiting on my recording equipment to film my range videos. Modern Warfare 2 AK over there. Right next to my MCX. Yeah, I was out shooting today and haven't had a chance to put them back in the safe yet, but I was having some fun. So yeah, guys, that's going to do it for me today. This is Spectre6 signing off. Again, like, share, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Real quick before I go, guys, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys were to check out some of my other videos. Let me know what you think. Give me some pointers so that I can continue to get better at this, and hopefully give you guys more enjoyable content that you can expect in the future. So yeah, if you guys could do that, I would greatly appreciate it. Again, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe on this current video and any of the other videos that you see. Hit that bell notification so you get notified whenever I post something new. And until next time, guys, I will see you later. Take care.